If you had to sum up the Atlanta housing market right this minute in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
Beaten down badly, but ready to take off.
Interesting, beaten down badly. And I assume by that you mean sellers, because of what's happening in the market, are suffering some or maybe feeling beaten. Buyers are also feeling beaten as well. But it sounds to me like you think there could be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much pent up demand right now for people wanting to move. It's obviously very hard to move on for your sub 3% mortgage rate that you might maybe have locked in. And
Right.
all this is caused, the 2024 resale closings, which you might cover in other segments or other shows. I mean, it's the lowest we've seen since 2010.
Yeah.
This is a crazy market.
15
Resale
years.
prices,
15
yes,
years.
15-year lows
15
last
years.
year.
And in 2010, we weren't fully out of the recession. I would say, the
Not even
lowest
close.
prices were set in 2011, and then we didn't see real significant recovery until like 2013.
Yeah, 2013 was a huge year. That was the takeoff, we would call it. But 2011, 2012, and before quarter 11, first quarter 12, best time ever to buy a home in Metro Atlanta history. But we talk about the mortgage rates, the all-time lows and closings. Inventory is the highest it's been since 2011 right now. Number of active listings. So it's not like there's not a lot of listings. There's just not many closings, and it's leading us to having 14-year months of supply highs as well. But in reality, people are like, oh my God, it's a 14-year high of months of supply. But if you rewound it pre-Great Recession, we were still well below months of supply back then. So we're actually getting back to an equilibrium market, which is a good thing. For the last 15 years, it's been a very heavy seller's market.
Yeah.
And that's why you've seen these resale prices go up as much as they have. I mean, the 15-year, the average home in Metro Atlanta has gone up 212% in the last 15 years. Just the last 5 years, 64%. Those numbers you should never really see.
So a $100,000 house is worth over $300.
Exactly.
Wow. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. That is really pretty amazing.
Incomes have not gone up that much.
No, really incomes, I don't know that you know the answer, but I mean incomes maybe are up 30% over that period of time, or 40%. Now, let's talk a little bit about the shift. What would you say, and you might have already mentioned this, is the single biggest change you've seen in the market over the last 6 months to a year?
I would say, kind of just alluded to, that the shift from that seller's market to the equilibrium. We actually did have home closings up in June, which was a pleasant sight to see. So I think there is a tide turning. I think people are getting more comfortable as well with the mortgage rates being where they're at.
Yep.
It's been almost 3 years now where rates have been kind of hovering in that 6.5%, 7% range. I would bet good money that we will never see rates below 3%, maybe even below 4% ever again in our lifetime.
If they could get into the fours, that would still be pretty dang good.
I mean, they're already talking about with the Fed, it's an 80% chance they lower rates next month in September. And, home builder stocks actually started going up after hearing that news. And I think, like I said at the start of the show, I mean, there is a lot of pent up demand for people wanting to move. I think you could have a lot of buyers entering this market. Even if we went down to 5.5%, that would be huge for purchasing power for every individual. Our biggest problem was we had such capitulation post Great Recession, and it took so long to get back to what you would consider where the market probably should have been. It just happened too fast.
Yeah.
And when you're looking back on what happened post COVID, I do believe it probably was a bubble. It wasn't as big as the Great Recession, obviously, but it did heat up too fast.
Yep.
We had way too many buyers, not enough sellers, and we had months of supply in 1 month, which is just unheard of. You're never going to see that. Really ever again.
And I think you're right. I think it was a bubble that just had a slow prick and a slow leak down. Meaning it wasn't a pow like sometimes we've seen bubbles just explode. Literally, it's been happening for years, and all of a sudden, boom! It explodes. And so I think that's probably a great way to look at it. Overall, prices still going up, prices staying steady, prices going slightly down.
Prices have been relatively steady the last maybe 18 months, which is what you want to see. There's even some articles coming out recently saying that how Atlanta actually was down. It really depends on what numbers you're looking at overall, but the market closing wise, we're at the bottom.
But
we're actually, I think you will start to see we're pretty much even with last year. So I do believe that by the end of the year, we will see a little bit of growth in terms of closing growth.
Yep.
Whereas I would like to see prices stay the same. I did mention, though, there's a lot of pent-up potential buyers. Like you said, though, if all these people enter the market, you're going to potentially get back to a soft market, and then we could see a little price appreciation again. I will say, though, we primarily, our data is really used for home builders.
New homes,
and the home building market is much different than the existing home right now. The home building market is not seeing quite the struggles that an existing home has. We still have decreases, but new home closings last year was down the lowest since 2016.